Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, March 18th, coming into the new contract here. Let's go ahead and jump back to the Friday here and just take a look at the details of what happened. Remember, on Friday we had our conflicting information, and I left everybody with the broadcast saying that we had a little bit more of an argument for the bears, right? Because we had that bearish daily signal up from the weekly highs. That was just a little bit more bearish information than bullish information that we had. So it did look like the bears were more than likely going to pull things back, but anything was possible because we were inside of our battle zone, right? The high of the week before, basically the high of the week, and then the high and then the low of this last week, which was down off that 57 level. So let's take a look at what happened here. Market open on Friday, came right to the back end of the 200 there for a beautiful short opportunity. So within the first couple minutes of the open here, probably 2 minutes into the open here, you had a great opportunity to get short in the direction of what I said was the direction that had just a little bit more weight to it. You could have grabbed it off the 200 there. You could have grabbed it off the 200 on this second test where we got this beautiful 512 bearish divergence off that high. I believe there was even a 3 minute, if I recall, as the price was bouncing up. Can't tell you for certain here, but thought that we also had that. And then from there, you got a great sell-off. Now, it wasn't unidirectional. They did have to pop it back up. So at some point, they came right back up and tried to test the VWAP again. Basically a reversion to the mean, right? So we opened. We got a little bit of a pullback. We held the back end of the 200. You got some good short opportunities. You even got a beautiful short right off the back end of the previous daily low there. Nearly no risk. And then we got this reverse in phase, and there's the crossover. There's the beginning of the hold of the 200 from the top end as price started to come up into this resistance area. Should have been a clue at the time that we were holding from here that was probably going to be a retest of 50% of the previous day or the previous week or VWAP. So getting long from over here, taking a little bit of a scalp probably wouldn't have been a bad idea. And sure enough, they come up and they try to hold VWAP to the tick to the upside, and then it fails again. And then here is your second opportunity to then get in on the bearish side of things. When the market gets rejected from VWAP, in a wonky market with a little bit of a higher clue for the bears to the downside, you get the failure from VWAP. You get this attempt by the bulls to break out and they fail right there. Well, now we're back into that bearish scenario, especially once we get our crossover, once we get price coming back down below, and then you get that beautiful retest of 50% of last week of the 200 moving average. And actually, that first test of the 200 after the crossover here, you did have two opportunities to try it. There's your third opportunity right off 50% of the previous week. And if you missed that and the market, you noticed the market was continuing to sell off, you had all these beautiful opportunities to get short off the fast moving average. Again, nearly no risk on these shorts, and then right off the 200 once again. And this is how it goes. Some days that 200 becomes probably the best entry you could get in the market for getting long here for this little correction back up, and for all these shorts out of the open. And then once we got the rejection from VWAP, 2, 3, 4, 5 tests, 4 tests of the 200 that nearly had zero risk, and you could have captured this whole sell-off. And then what do you know? The low of Friday right to our 5170 level. I think it came down to 68. So we broke through by 2 points there. But in trading, that we basically nailed the low of Friday there and got this nice bounce at the end of the day. Once again, riding that 200 all the way up to retest into the VWAP and get a double top and fail. And then again, if you notice that we were failing from the VWAP, this was now getting towards the end of the day on Friday, probably not a great time to be trading. You still got plays off the back end of the 200 on the pullback. And then that was it. Kind of just petered out at the end of the day, and you got one last parry right off the 200 to close the week out. So that was your friend on Friday. Again, we expected that there was, well, we didn't expect, but we had a little bit more of a clue for a bearish pullback, and we got the pullback. We held the 200, we held the VWAP, and then we got this beautiful parry right off the low of the day, which was our next roadmap level. Again, not too surprising. So then that brings us here into the Sunday Globex session. And once again, the moving averages have just been a heck of a great place to hang our hats. You got a beautiful bullish divergence here right out of the Sunday Globex, coming right in here off the 200. You got your first test of the 200. You got a duck below, a little peak below, and bounce with a bullish divergence. If you would have bought last night, just about 2-3 hours into the Sunday Globex session, you could have captured this entire push, and this push is now 40-50 points to the upside, right? So not only that, you could have shorted the back end of 50% of the previous day. You would have captured the pullback to VWAP. You could have bought VWAP here, rode it all the way up all night, and then you even got a beautiful hold off the fast moving average as we came into the open this morning. And now here we are sitting up right around this line right here is the 61.8 retrace of the whole sell-off from the all-time high. So if we were to look at this from the perspective, and I'm going to hide something on this chart real quick. If you look at it from the perspective of the higher time frames, the sell-off, not from the all-time high, I'm sorry, but from the high of last week, which was just a couple ticks away from the all-time high, all the way down to the low, and we're kind of testing right into that 61.8 right now. But as you can see, probably not too relevant at the moment. So that's what we're seeing. And once again, if you zoom out and look at what price has been doing here, let's go back. We held 57, right, which was right at the top end of our expected support zone, and that was a roadmap level. It was actually nearly to the tick. We stepped up, got back up through 50% of the previous week, came up. We failed right at our expected resistance. Remember, before the market ever came up here, we had a level in the market at 52.55 and expected that to be potential resistance. They tagged it at the all-time high, and then the high of last week we came up and failed just in front of it. Again, not too surprising. That is a very discrete area in the chart that we know could have been resistance and has been all through the last week and a half. Fails, comes down, and then we bounce. The low at the end of the week here is our next roadmap level at 51.70. So, it's just unbelievable to me how well these rotations are working right off of our areas of interest. And so that brings us here into Monday morning's pre-market. Let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames and see what they have to say coming into the first week of the June 2024 contract.